Hey guys, so I have two completely unrelated but really good stories that I just wanted to share with you really quick. Okay, so first of all, in my life, I'm trying to get to this point where I really have God's voice tuned in, where I'm really on the same wavelength and He's speaking and I'm listening. And it's kind of like where Samuel said that one night, he's like, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." So that's my goal. And so the other day, I was making sandwiches for my kids, and I just felt impressed that I was supposed to make one more sandwich. So I make another sandwich. You know, what's one more when you're making 3 or 4 sandwiches? So I make one more sandwich, and then I had the sandwich, and later on during the day, I'm like, okay, fine, I've got to get it out of the house. So I take the sandwich and a bottle of water and $5 that I had found on the sidewalk. And I had 2 choices. I'm like, okay, I don't know whether I'm supposed to go down Oxford Street or whether I'm supposed to go toward Mary Street Bakery. These are 2 different options, and I know that I'm in search of somebody, but I don't know who. So I take the sandwich and the water bottle, and I decide to go down Oxford Street. So I cross the bridge, and I get onto Oxford Street, and a block, not even a block, into my walk, there's my friend Mario sitting on the corner. So I'm like, okay, this sandwich was for Mario. So I go sit down next to him, ask him, he's like, well, do you have something for me? And I was like, well, what do you need? And he was like, well, how about a Coke? I was like, no, I don't have a Coke. How about a sandwich? So I sit down next to Mario while he eats his sandwich. And we chat and we laugh, and people walk by and look at us weird and whatever. We were having a good time. So after Mario eats this sandwich, I thought it'd be a little cheeky, and I thought, oh, this will be funny. I told him it was a vegetarian sandwich and that wasn't real meat, it was veggie meat. Because I thought he'd be like, oh, I knew there was something wrong with it. But he was like, oh, I'm a vegetarian. So the joke was on me. So I thought, oh, isn't that funny? Like, not only did God have me make a sandwich for Mario, but it was vegetarian. He's looking out for us, isn't he? That was great. So I just wanted to share that with you. And then the other thing that was completely unrelated was I just read this book, Knitlandia. And I know my kids think I'm really weird. They're like, Mom, you read the weirdest books. I don't, but anyway. So I enjoyed this book immensely, and I'm reading this book, and I get to this chapter that happened in Denver, and I'm like, this sounds so much like my cousin. And so I find out later on, it totally was. There's a chapter in this book where Clara Parks is talking about my cousin Andrew. Like, what are the chances? I pick up a random book in the library in Australia, I read it and enjoy it, and get to read a chapter that has my cousin in it. And the interesting thing about that also is that I never would have picked up this book except that I had just knit a baby sweater for this friend who we just met at the Ningaloo Reef who's having a baby. So it's like all these crazy things line up that lead from one thing to another that are all part of my, I believe, journey to a life abundant, which for me is, I've been binge listening to Brene Brown's books, and she's talking about wholehearted living, and I believe part of my wholehearted living is making and creating. Like, I don't feel very happy when I'm not making and creating, and so, you know, I haven't I haven't done that much this year at all, and I think I've really been missing that in my life. So getting back to this wholehearted living and knitting and reading this book, and it was all just kind of interesting and fun. So I thought I'd share that with you, and I just thought, I hope that you guys can make time in your day for wholehearted living, whatever that means for you. For Rosie, it means dancing. For me, it means making things. Probably for Sam and Josh, also creating, being creative. And for John, it means exploring the ocean. So think about that. How can you get back to wholehearted living and a life more abundant? All right. We'll see you guys soon. We have our tickets to come back home. Yippee!